Welcome yet again to My Story, a program here at Church of Uganda Family TV where we trace, track and bring to you stories of individuals who have particularly gone through life, what they went through, how they went through it, all. We pack it up for you here at Church of Uganda Family TV. And of course, we always believe such stories from people like this that we host always have an impact in your life. They could be able to change something out in your life. And of course, the ultimate goal is always to be never to give up in life, because somehow, somewhere, people tend to give up in life because of what they go through. But well, the people who we bring here always bring that encouragement, and of course, somehow, somewhere, do give us a way forward, and of course to always strive and always do what we really need to do, not to give up in life. Now today, I should tell you, I'm really blessed to host someone very special. But of course, my name is Luke Majumba Alinaitwe, and I'm sitting in for Edwin Austin Mukalazi. Today, as I told you, I'm so blessed to host someone who loves so much of capes. Reverend Canon Erisa Grace Sentongo.
Hey,
You're most welcome.
Thank you. Hello, viewers. I'm so blessed that I'm hosted by Family TV. Thank you very much for thinking about me, and I'm here for you. I love cups.
Yes. Well, what is the reason behind it?
The reason is that I love cups, and these cups make me who I am.
Okay.
That is it.
That's interesting, really. And
Thank
of
you.
course, he is a blessing to us here today. And of course, we're going to see how he started up his life, his story. I trust he's going to inspire someone out there. Now, Reverend Canon, where are you born from? I want us to go back to the other person before even thinking of I'm going to be a reverend, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Where are you born from?
Thank you very much. My names are Grace Erisa Sentongo Wamala Kasauli. I have a title, Reverend Canon, for the Church of Uganda. Those other two names I've talked about, Kasauli and Wamala, are significant because I'm a team leader, my father and grandfather again.
Okay.
But the names which people know me way back 1958 is Erisa. My father was Reverend Canon Erisa Kagwa Wamala, and my mother, Canon Janet Erisa Wamala. Both are deceased. They went to be with the Lord, and I stand in their footsteps. Both nurtured me, mentored me, grew me, developed me, as you see. I was born in Kako. In fact, they tell me I was born on 7th September 1958 at 6:30 in the morning in Kako Nursing Home.
Okay.
That's where my mother pushed me down in a hospital, nursing home, and I am who I am because of that great woman, as we are going to see. And Dad, a great man.
Okay. So you grew up from Kapu?
I grew up from Kako from a young age, for about 9 months. Then my dad went to be a chaplain in Bishop Tucker College, early 60s, where she worked as a chaplain in charge of youth. Then from 1962, they transferred them to Wallace Theological College. And that's where I began nursery schools. And you remember, we were studying with Europeans. We were putting on clothes, shoes and ties.
Okay.
We were part of the affluent 1960 children. Yeah?
Okay, yes. There was nursery by that time?
Yes, there was a nursery school. In a college like Bishop Tucker College, there were Bazungu children who used to go to a nursery school. And I was privileged to study with children of late Preston, Wellington. Those were my contemporaries. Yes. So we did with children of late Bishop Luhindi, children of late Bishop Kauma. You see Ruth Senyonyi. I'm older than Ruth Senyonyi, but we were contemporary at Mukono.
Okay.
So her mom, Mama Kauma, was the first person who got me when Mom delivered me. Okay. So she's my second mother. She's still there in Sanji.
That's interesting. So after nursery, where do you
After nursery, Daddy went on 62, 64 to 65. Then late Bishop Tom Sange invited him to be the Diocese Secretary of West Buganda Diocese. So we leave Mbale Bwalas Sero College to Kako in West Buganda Diocese. I began P4, P5, P6, P7 in Kako.
Same school?
Same school, Kako Primary School. Then from there, I passed well. I was quite a moderate student, very wise, but a bit cheeky. Very cheeky, but I respected parents. Then I joined Kako Secondary School in 1971. But in between there, my dad had wanted me to do a bit of training in religion. So he transfers me to Mitiana Secondary School, where I did senior 1, as well as studying with the Babulis. And 72, I came back to Kako, where I completed my early secondary school. Also, I passed well. Okay. I remember in Kako, my headmaster was Okecho, he passed on, and the man called Kishaija. Kishaija was our headmaster, very principled, and I loved him. He's still in Mbarara, but now quite old, about 90-something. So that is part of my work. Then after secondary...
Now, before we get done with secondary, what are some of the crazy things you did?
Oh, many crazy things. First of all, crazy things included... I loved football, soccer.
Oh, okay.
In primary, I loved soccer. My mother was a teacher, very disciplinarian, but loving. Because I wanted soccer, and we had only one pair of uniform or two, I could get off my trouser, change it upside down, and my shirt, and we go and wrestle and play. Even remove your shoes, because you had shoes and socks. And then after playing very soggy and everything, you bring it on. Mommy didn't know until one day he noticed me. He came and hid around the football pitch. He caught me. Another crazy thing was, as a younger people, we had sugar canes, pawpaws all around. We could gang with some children and go and steal.
Okay.
Just breaking, and they report you. And you remember in the 60s, every parent was your parent.
In the community.
In the community. So if I stole from your family and that parent reported you, you'll get you, punish you. Another crazy thing which really stopped me from taking money was around 64, 65, I stole a shilling.
Oh.
My mama had got her money, so I got a shilling, put it in my pocket money. There was a Muchiga man who was selling kabalagala, sumbusa of beans and chapati. So I went and splashed the whole class with chapatis. And when my mother discovered, I was given the worst punishment. I was beaten at home, reprimanded, beaten with love. I was taken at the parade. I had to confess at school. Imagine, my mother took me at the parade. She was a head teacher. She asked me to come and make a confession while kneeling. I called all the boys and girls whom I had given, and all of us were beaten. I was so humiliated. From that time, I stopped speaking.
That was a good lesson.
A good lesson for me. And a good lesson for all my brothers. But there was my brother also who was very stubborn, John, he died. Okay. For him, he used to steal left and right. I think I learned it from John. Because John stole without being known. For him, was very shrewd. He knew how to steal, but for me, poor boy, I picked that one which had been put there.
And for you, the problem, you went and wanted to be a big spender at school.
Yes, but John used to pick in my father's pocket and no one knew, or in the vehicle. But for me, I picked that one which was in the bedroom. And I was reprimanded up to now. I tell my boys and girls, don't steal, ask. Yeah. And you are given.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So after secondary?
After secondary, That was the time of war. I went a bit to Kenya, where I stayed with my brother-in-law and my sister for about a year or two. And that was the time of magendo and business. I got involved in business, coming this way. My brother would give me money, bring clothes this way, cooking oil. But God was calling me to ministry. So when I came back in 1986, I was convicted. My dad was the assistant secretary with other clergy. They convinced me with a lady who was my friend. She's still there, Reverend Esther Rutaya. She counseled me. She told me the advantage of being in ministry. And that time, I was young, very young, about 20-something, 21. So in 77, late Semakula, who was the chairman of the Bishop's Commission, me and Abiaza Chividige, another person I've forgotten, we were interviewed to go and do the diploma in theology at Mukono. And both of me and Abiaza passed through, and we joined Bishop Taka College to do a diploma in theology, which lasted 4 years. During that time, it was very difficult, really. You could do a diploma in theology for 4 years. And it was comprehensive. We did African church history, biblical studies, African tradition religion, worship, preaching, evangelism, and it was involving sitting at the feet of men like late Galupin, Bishop Mali, Bishop Magambo, the Ruyindis, the Kamanyires. Those were hard times. And I remember not blowing my trumpet. The diploma, I did so well. I was one of the best. There is a man called Reverend Dr. Alex Kagume. He was the best. Then I was second, and many others. After the diploma, I came to West Buganda to work. And that's where I first got the first challenge with my bishop. My bishop had gone to study in America for his PhD. So my dad and others were on the commission. That in 1985 they began the Bachelor of Theology at Mukono, Atie. So me and others were chosen. When we went to study, I don't know what happened. When my bishop came back, he didn't in court like me. He sent me to funny places. He didn't really like me, although I was a child. He didn't like me. So after teaching at Buwere for 2 years in a theological college, he transferred me. And I remember officially writing to him, I tell him, look here, Bishop, I was called in ministry. I'm a younger man. I have a future. I'm not yet married. We discussed for about an hour. He said, I'm resigning from church. I wrote a letter, which I have here in file, to him, copied to Archbishop Okos, and I resigned. After resigning, we had a lorry Bedford. I began trading. Museveni was coming in. He had blocked on Katonga. So I used to drive a lorry taking fish to Bukakata and then to Kasenyi here. I did it for a year or so. And I had a collar, but I removed it. Once in a while, I put it on disguise with them people. So around 82, there at the end, 81, I meet my former chaplain, late Canon Kojo Ankora. He was coming to Nabugabo. I stopped him. He had a Peugeot, silver. He said, where are you going, Papa? I used to call him Papa. I said, I'm going for a retreat here at Nabugabo. He said, what are you doing in this lorry? I said, look here, my Papa, I called him Daddy. I resigned. The bishop had harassed me. Now this is my business. I'm now fishing men, getting fish, taking them to Kampala. He said, no. You're one of the best students. He tore a paper from his diary. I still have it here. He wrote to the Deputy National Coordinator of Planning Department at the Province of Church of Uganda. Mr. James Ameda, Great Sentongo, appointment as deputy director at Erisa.
Wow.
I got the paper, I was shabby with the beard and everything. I put in my pocket, smelling fish. I went to Bukakata, put the fish on my boat, brought them to Kasenyi, came back. In fact, when I reached Kampala, one of the craziest things I went to Owino. I bought new shoes, new trousers, new jacket. I came back. I reported the next week or so to Namirembe. Then Mr. James Ameda sent me to Erisa to work. It was a blessing. I came to Erisa even when my fingers was smelling fish. I first stayed in a room there. Later they rented me house. And I worked there for some time.
How long was it when you had resigned before going back?
It was about 4 years.
Hey,
Yes, it was.
it's been long.
So I came back to church. I went and worked at Erisa in charge of education and writing things, and also deputizing Reverend Katonene, now Bishop Katonene, where I worked there for still about 2 years, and later on I was transferred to the headquarters to work as PRO and transport officer. In fact, as you'll hear from later on, that's where at Erisa I met my beautiful wife, Farah. She'll tell you the story, how we fell in love, but that is exactly what happened.
Yeah, we shall dive into that of course. Yes.
But currently, I worked at the Province of Church of Uganda for about 9 years. And then after 9 years, the funders who are funding us said the money had reduced, so they retrenched us. They gave us a package, a reasonable package really, which we got. But one thing which I want to mention, that the years I worked in PDR was so good, because even the money which built this house was part of my salary I got. We jointly put together that money, together with my wife, then, and we put up this house. So that is it. Then after PDR, I founded one organization, Jamii ya Kupatanisha, for peace and human rights, which did very well. From there, they picked me as an excellent performer. I went and became the Deputy National Coordinator of Human Rights Network Uganda. And all those who are dealing with human rights promotion in Uganda and outside Uganda.
That's an interesting story there. So, but let us go back a little bit behind. Isn't it challenging to join a clergyship as a young man? Wasn't it challenging to you?
Yes or no? One, yes.
And at what age did you join?
I joined when I was 21.
Wow.
Yes, it was challenging because I had wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. Up to now, that's even why I did some studies in public health. But you know, in 1971, Amin chased the Indians. And during that time, there were Indians teaching math and bits of physics and chemistry. While I passed other subjects properly, I didn't perform very well in math. And my father being a priest, I told him I can't repeat, I can't. My father said, no, that was God's will. I didn't do that one. That was one of the challenges that I missed being a doctor, but I don't regret. I'm a doctor of spiritual people. I've reached out to many people. For 42 years as a priest, I have preached the gospel to the people. People have got converted. I know many people who have followed me, and I am there with an impeccable character. I thank God for that.
Okay. So if there's this question that always runs around, if you are given chance, now that you're set to retire, but of course we shall look at that also later on. If you are given chance, what could you change in the Church of Uganda?
Oh, that's a very big question. If I was given chance, what would I change? Okay, let me just think immediately. I think Church of Uganda is running normally. But I think Church of Uganda needs to more invest in self-supporting projects. Church of Uganda, we are emphasizing greatly evangelism. Now even we are taking up the Pentecostal healing, casting and everything. But we are forgetting the ethos that the gospel go hand in hand with development. I think the Church of Uganda must think bigger. Not only preaching the gospel, casting demons, but also thinking of what makes us tick, that we become self-independent, self-supporting, self-sustaining. So one of the areas I would want to change, if I became younger like you at 21, I would advocate and lobby for self-supporting projects. Second one, not basically changing. The Church of Uganda is moving on very well, but I think it needs to empower the youth. Currently, youth form almost 60 or 75% of the population. There's need to give the youth empowerment, stability, condition to so that they can monitor and mentor and grow the church. Some of us who are now old, like me at 65, we need to retire. The other day I was in Mrembe preaching in one area, and I found a lay reader who is very old, and in a very good church, which I don't want to say. I think we need to leave all the people like us to retire at the retirement age, and then we become advisors, we become prayer partners, and then we empower the youth. But when I talk about empowering the youth, youth also must know that the elders are wise. They should also closely work with them. So if I had to change, that would be, we are there. Those are the two areas which I think I would think critically. There are others which would, but I think those are enough.
Okay, in your service as a clergy person, as a clergyman, what are some of the things you feel I would have done this earlier on, but now, yeah, something you wish you would have done earlier?
One of the advantages, me as Grace Sentongo, comparative advantage compared to other clergy, is that God has given me grace. I have not been moved from the parishes. I've worked in parishes for 10 years, 15 years. I think I've got favor from my superiors. I have not had a chance. I have not had a chance to share like many other people. I've worked this way for a long period and put systems in place. In fact, I'm a mobilizer. I'm a mobilizer. I'm a system manager, and you give me chance, I'm self-driven. I report to the people, but once you give me chance, I'm self-driven. I think that's why you say that, because you give me task, I will do it with freedom. I'll report to my bosses, I'll consult, and the output is there. That has been my comparative advantage. Possibly an area where I would want to change in the Church of Uganda is in housing of the clergy. The church has not housed, spent some money in houses for the clergy. They are still not well housed. I'll give an example. Many of the clergy may not have houses around the parishes. Okay, we encourage clergy to stay in their houses and they pay us. But I think the church need to invest in housing for clergy. Like around Kampala, I can say it. We are able to put up a flat where people like ordinary could come and stay as a team in one place. But you find that I am staying in my home. Since I came to Kampala, I've been staying in my home here. I remain a clergy. So I think there is need for that.
Okay. Reverend, what keeps you moving? What keeps you motivated?
Motivated?
Yes.
I love church.
Wow.
In fact, for me, I didn't come to church to look for money. Whether you pay me or not, I have my goat system. I have my coat. I go behind here when you see there are bananas, pineapples, greens. I am a person who uses these hands I motivate myself. The salary which the church gives me complements what I work with my hands, complements what I give to church. When I get my salary, I get a percentage which I give to the needy. I've been in charge of compassion. In fact, sometimes even we have disagreement with my wife. When my salary comes, I portion some money which I give to the children fees. I don't tell the people, but I know I'm paying fees for this child. At office, when people come, I get out of my pocket. I don't wait for money. And the moment I give, I get. So what makes me tick is that I'm in ministry. I've been in ministry not because I came to look for money. I came to do the service. Go and reach out to people. I can preach, I can teach, I can plan, I can develop. So that one has kept me going, and I thank God for that.
Wow. Indeed, an interesting conversation here with Reverend Canon Sentongo Erisa Grace, of course, giving us what he went through and, of course, how he is motivated. Interesting how he doesn't wait for anything, but he just wants to keep going as a motivated person. We really appreciate that he has given us time. But, of course, we're coming back shortly. And when we return, of course, we're going to dive into more. And we have a surprise for you here today, how he went into marriage and, of course, all that story when we come back. Welcome back, and you are still watching my story here at Church of Uganda Family TV, and of course a program that keeps on motivating people out there. You know, people always have different challenges in life, but of course the stories we get from this such a program keep us motivated and give us courage to not give up in life, of course. And today, as I told you, I'm blessed to have Reverend Canon Erisa Grace Sentongo, a very good man who likes putting on capes. But of course, today, I told you we have a surprise when we return. And here we are, of course, with Mrs. Sentongo. What a blessing it is to have her here today. Good evening, madam. How are you doing?
Good evening and good evening, viewers. Well, and thank you for coming to talk to us. Yeah.
What a pleasure to really have you here. And of course, earlier on, we were discussing with the Reverend. I would say, let us leave that issue of of love when she's right here with me. It is a blessing, of course. So, how do we meet? How do the two of you meet? When was that?
First of all, I have to say my names. I'm Vera Justin Sentongo, but before I was Vera Justin Shalita. So I met this handsome man. At that time, he was very, very tiny. Now he has put on a bit of weight. He was very, very tiny.
Hey.
He's the one who met me because he found me working at Church of Uganda.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I had hair.
Hey.
He had hair and he used to put on bell bottoms. And shoes that we used to call bongo. You know, those musicians from Zaire used to come and putting on shoes, they had a high heel. So most
Were
of the...
Were they wooden? Sort of.
Not wooden as such, but those days, that was the trend.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the shoes that people used to put on. So I started working with Church of Uganda as on internship in 1983 at the province of Church of Uganda at the youth department. And that time I was working with Reverend Mugarura Mutana, now Canon Mutana. I was working with the late Chinobe, and then with Reverend Katonene, then now Bishop Katonene. They were all working in the youth department, and I was working with them during my internship. Then later, when I finished college, Bishop Katonene then, who was the first director of Razor Training and Conference Center as an education institution, called me to come and work with him, and I was his secretary for. I started working there in 1984. 15th August 1984. That's when I started work at Church of Uganda Razor Training and Conference Center.
Okay.
And I worked there for 35 years until I retired in 2019. So coming back to how I met this gentleman, my husband,
Sure. My wife.
the father of my children, he came in 1986 as a deputy director in charge of training. In charge of training. And I was working for all of them, himself and now Bishop Katoneni. I was the one working for them as their admin secretary. And that time we stayed on, and I think at that time there was a football match.
World Cup.
There was World Cup then. There was Germany and playing with Brazil, I think. And I was supporting Germany. I think he was supporting Brazil.
Okay.
And he looked at me. Okay, he was my boss then, but he looked at me and said, this girl is interested in football. And we debated. We were there in the lounge. Reza had a very good lounge. There was a TV. And later on, after some time, I think end of 86, I think middle or end of 86, he asked a hand. And
Which I received.
I first told him, you know what? First of all, I was born in a clergy family. Moving up and down. I don't know how many places we went to, moving up and down. Now, you are also a clergy. Your father is a clergy. I don't think I'm the right person for you. I think you can go and try your luck elsewhere. I'm not in for that.
Reverend, how did you feel?
When she told me, I knew she was serious because those are sentiments, but I noticed she has a heart of compassion and love and care. Because even, I'm not the one talking, even during that time, even when I told her, she used to cook some food and I eat from her home.
So that's how the journey started. The journey started like that. And later on, I think I had a second thought. And I gave in.
Great.
In 1988,
Wow.
January 9th, we got married.
He seems to be, should I call stubborn person or some person like that? How do you cope up with his life?
I don't think he's stubborn as such. Okay, sometimes he can be stubborn, but other times he's very compassionate.
Okay.
He's very, very compassionate, and sometimes his compassionate part, sometimes it disturbs me a lot, because sometimes, like, you may be wanting something and you don't have it, and you find he has given even the little that you have. So he's very compassionate about people. Yeah.
Thank you for the compliment.
Wow, indeed, that is really interesting, of course, from the big couple here, since all those years they have been together, and of course, serving the Lord together, and of course, serving their life as well together. You know, there's good and personal life, of course, personal growth and all things like that. Really appreciate that you've truly stayed together. So, what is the youth these days at having challenges with marriages? What are some of the advices you could give out there?
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't tell you that we have children. We have children, but they are now grown up, all of them. And we also have grandchildren. We have 8 grandchildren, and we have 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys. So we have grandchildren. I think one of the challenges that the youth are finding now is that they want to live beyond their means. They want to live beyond their means. In those times, for us, you would cope with whatever is available. Whatever is there is what you would use. But I think the challenge that we have with the youth now is that they live beyond their means and they compare themselves to different people.
Okay.
So they want to be me when they don't know where I came from and what I've done to be what I am.
Exactly, exactly.
So that is one of the challenges that they have. And that's why you see a lot of them, their marriages are shaky. Because what they anticipated to get in marriage is not what they have found out there when they are there. Yeah.
And of course, if you're just joining us here at Church of Uganda Family TV, we are having an encounter with Reverend Canon Erisa Sentongo, and of course with the dear wife here
Very.
as a surprise today. Now, Reverend, what are some of your contributions to the community in regards to your role as a Reverend?
Community life.
Yes.
This one I've done it since I joined Church of Uganda PTR. I will begin from the bigger picture, then come to here. In the 80s and 90s, we wrote proposals and we accessed people with water, with animals. Send a cow. We bought pigs, cows, built houses, community work, using some of the donation money for doing it. But here in the village or at home, we have been able to assist children go back to school. Like she told you, I told you, I've lost some of my parents. Some of my brothers have died, but you have raised children from 9 months to university. Some don't know their parents who have done so. We have contributed food to the neighbors. Once in a while when we have money, we buy food and we give to the needy. I told you when we had just got children in our pickup or Pajero Dedica, we could park there and people come. There is a case which I can mention. Our neighbor here, she had a girl who was produced at the same age as my daughter. I took the child to nursery school, finished, took her to primary one when no single parent had ever taken her. Even here, up to now, if I'm coming back, there are some people wait for me. They wait for a lift there, go because they know there is a man of God. Take them, we don't. Our vehicle has assisted in taking people of burial, community work. There's a pickup there, Delica pickup. It has taken bodies when you want. You can use it. One example which I can also give community work, one of our workers lost a child sometime back. Mommy told me, don't worry. Purchase a casket coffin. We drove the coffin in my boot. No one knew. And we reached, what was the area? Down. Lukungi down. We just put it in my vehicle. We took it and then the people came. So really, we have been involved and we continue.
I think also
Bit louder.
one of the things that we have contributed is that most of the house helpers we have here, when they come here, we encourage them to study. We tell them this is not the end of what you're doing. There is one gentleman we had, he came as a young boy, and we encouraged him. He went for driving. Now he drives different people, RDCs, wherever. in different places. Then we had another young girl who came here. She had she had her parents, but she didn't go to school. She had finished, I think, P3.
P3.
We took her back to school. She went and did catering, and she's now working in I think she went to Abu Dhabi now. She's working there. So very many people, when they come, we encourage them that this is not the end. You're not going to end here. Being a house helper is not the last thing you can do. You can do something else. Like we have one boy here now, and we are still encouraging him. He finished S4. We want to ask him, what exactly does he want to do? So that while he's here, he can go attend a class and come back. There is another girl whom we took up when she had just finished P7, and unfortunately she became pregnant, but then we encouraged her still. She's now 50 years, and she's now still studying. She's doing Germany. She's 50 and she's doing German. When we are not around, she's the one who comes and takes care of this home. And she's our daughter. We took her on.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
You have so much kind hearts of you. And now, Reverend, looking back at your journey as a Reverend, what advice would you give to a person who wants to be a clergy in the future?
Well, thank you very much. That's a very good question. I want to use the current scenario. One of the challenges we are having now in ministry, that many younger people, even old people, want to go to ministry because there is money. People are looking at money. The heart for service, because now the priest is given this amount of money, that is thing, they are looking for money. One thing which I want to encourage and I want to tell the people no is that ministry is not after money alone. You must have the call, the commitment, and the love. The second thing also which I want to encourage ministers, Mami will add on, ministers must have as a team whereby you visit one another, you pray together, you think together, you plan together, you can even begin micro schemes together for development. But the teaming, the synergy, the co-work, correlation seem to be lacking. Each one is pushing, wants to be this way. They are competing as if it is the sexual, there's a mistake there in the church. Another thing also I want to encourage ministers in the church, and especially now, with due respect to my bishops, we need to be very careful of the new influence from the Pentecostal churches. I don't have any problem with Pentecostal churches, but many of our clergy are copying ipso facto. They are copying just like that. And somewhere, the root, the essence, the background of the Church of Uganda is diminishing. In fact, if you are not careful, my Lord bishops and archbishops are listening to me, we are moving on a very slippery ground. This one I'm speaking prophetically as a senior clergy, 42 years. If you are not careful, there is a very big influence from Nigeria, which is taking the Church of Uganda away. And if you are not careful, my Lord Archbishop, your Grace Archbishop and the clergy, we need to guard against this. If we don't guard against this, very soon people are going to begin churches within Church of Uganda. What you are saying that the Pentecostals are taking away people, there is a cliquism, there is a teaching which may drive off the Church of Uganda. I'm prophetically seeing this one, and I have a senior clergy as I retire. That is something which we may have to talk. And you provoked me because I wasn't ready for that. But this one I can give a full 1 hour talk about.
Okay.
To me, that is it.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I briefly understand we are heading to retirement. How prepared are we? I'm going to start with Mama.
She's also retired.
Yeah.
And I retired before him.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
retired before him. 2019, I did early retirement. Lay people in Church of Uganda retire at 60, but at 56, yeah, 56,
Okay.
I think I said I've served for some time, 35 years. So I retired.
Okay.
And I think when I was entering retirement, I wasn't feeling any scare about it. Because one, I we have where to stay. We have where to dig and plant food and eat. So I wasn't thinking about, I didn't have any scare about it, unless he has one. But for me, I didn't have any up to this time,
Okay.
because I know I have a shelter where I can sleep. And also in the village, I have a shelter which I'm putting up. And I know that when I go there, I'll have where to put my head.
Okay.
So I'll not disturb people that because I'm retired, now I need this and that. So I think we shall push on.
Okay. Yeah. Reverend.
Like my dear Hafa said, this is something I've looked for. I told you, I've told the listeners, I have worked for 42 years as a priest. I have worked in all positions. In fact, even one single time, even I stood to be a bishop of a diocese somewhere, but I was technically thrown out by some people, and I don't regret, because the office of the bishop is one. But like my wife has said, if you have a shelter, you have hands, you have eyes, you think ahead strategically. Retirement is very good. Retirement gives you and me time to relax, shift from the normal day-to-day, then you begin reflecting. And let me tell you, people listening to me, when you retire and you are in sync and harmony with your wife, like we are here, we think together, we plan together, we spend together, we sleep together in the same bed, we eat together. Like if you looked at her vehicle, my vehicle, if she's not there, I'm there. So retirement is not a threat. But what mom is saying and me saying, when you retire, learn to use some of the monies you have kept wisely. At 65, don't spend your money in buying Sheraton. Spend some of your money in thinking for medical upkeep, how you are going to eat well. Me and my wife, we are going to travel the entire world. Era mommy, we shall travel. Let me tell you, I'm a consultant in peace and human rights. I did it in my office. I'm going to revive. Mommy used to work with me. If you have anything to deal with peace and management, human training, and another thing which I want listeners to hear, I'm a counselor. She's a counselor. I'm going to do a ministry for the boys' child.
Wow.
I've been a counselor all since. We counsel men like you were interviewing me. They are not like girls. I want to talk to my grandsons and sons proper and the daughters. So we are going to be kept busy. We shall dig.
Okay.
We shall preach the gospel.
That's interesting. Now, maybe a last one. Mom, what is your favorite hymn in the songs you in the Anglican setting? Your favorite hymn?
Favorite in, as in any language?
Any language, yes.
You want me to sing that song?
Yes, we shall sing.
That would be perfectly better.
You know, there is this song that my father-in-law used to love so much. Every time that would be on his bed when he was very sick, he would tell us, "Oh, we sing that song. Bwentambulira mu kkubo, Mukama ankulembera."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You can translate in English.
that if you walk and abide in the path of Jesus, God will lead you through. I love it.
Okay. Is it also your favorite?
Yes, it is. We sing with daily here.
Oh, that's interesting.
And in this home,
Eh.
she's the choir mistress.
Eh.
I'm the guitar man.
Ah.
I'm the drum man. I can try. So she can be a choir mistress here.
So maybe I can sing. We can
Please.
sing one stanza,
Just one.
and then you are the best guy.
Yes. You can start.
Wentambulira mu kkubo, Yesu ankulembera, nyinza ntya okubusabuusa,
Yesu ge antwala bulijjo.
Byonna ebiba ku nze tebiyinza kunuma. Yesu ye mukuumi wange, antwabira obulamu. Abalabe balinumba, ye alibawangula. Era lwintuusa n'essanyu lingi bingi mu mirembe gye. Yesu mulokozi wange, yanfuula omuddu wo.
Kale kale kankutendereze bwetyo Yesu emirembe gitagwa.
Wow. You must be having so much joy here in every evening.
Yeah. Yes.
It has really been interesting here to see how we have concluded, of course.
So I really love that song because my father-in-law would tell us, sing for me that one all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It has been interesting here, of course, interacting with the Reverend Canon Erisa Grace Sentongo, of course, and the dear wife. You see how we've ended the day? Wow. It was an amazing one, of course, a favorite hymn for the family. And of course, you've heard what their life was, what it took them to be what they are now, having a peaceful retirement, that they are not actually scared to retire at all. You know, people get scared of retirement. What will happen when I retire? But you see, life is all planned. Things are all moving on smoothly for the family here. And it has been an interesting one. I hope it has encouraged and touched someone outside there. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, and of course, My Story, a program here that runs every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. And for today, we truly appreciate that you've been with us here, and we surely say goodbye. But of course, Linda Dina has also been on camera, and I've been Luke Majumba Alinaitwe. Have a good time.